This is your co-host, Dr. Ning.
And this is your co-host, Rachel.
It's another exciting day. In prior episodes, we talked a lot about what are the right things to eat. But in this day and age, ideally we should grow our own food and, kind of create all the healthy ingredients ourselves. But in reality, we kind of don't have the luxury. Most of us don't. We have to go shopping and stuff. But when you go shopping, you see there are so many things out there, what to choose, what to, what is good for us, what is not. It's always a question. So today, Rachel and I got our very special guest, my great friend, Jennifer Katz, who is an expert in clinical and functional nutrition. She is a certified functional nutrition counselor who has almost 20 years of experience working with healthy individuals and also individuals with different chronic conditions to help them control their disease condition of get back to the healthy state via nutritional approach. So we're really thrilled to have you here,
I'm
Jen.
so happy to be here, Ladybug. Thank you.
Yeah, would you mind?
You're thrilled now, but you might regret.
It's Ladybug Day.
I'm excited now.
So every time I talk to Jen, I learn something new. So Jen, would you mind just introduce? Tell us a little bit more about, how your journey to become a functional nutritionist,
Okay, it involved a lot of starts and stops to get where I am. So I'm going to be really selective here, but I was always into health, always really intrigued by the potential of the human body, both in the physical way and challenging ourselves physically. I was a runner. My dad was a runner. Fitness was in my family, and then eating well came to complement that. It wasn't until I did my undergraduate work at UC Berkeley that I discovered the magic of whole, real foods. I think it was my first time having granola, and this was in the 90s, in the late 90s. And at the time I was into psychology and behavior, and really I think because my father was, and so it was passed down. But I was a little health nut. And so I went through my psych degree at Cal, and then I actually decided I wanted to become a nurse midwife. I was really mesmerized by the birth process and understood that a really good starting point to form a healthy life is at birth. And what better way than to start with moms and babies and to sort of de-intensify the birth process. And so that was my mission. And so I subsequently went away to New York University to do a post-bac program to start on my journey to become a midwife. And during that post-bac, I was doing rotations at several different hospitals in New York City, which was absolutely exhilarating and wonderful to work with patients. And as student nurses, we had to do discharge plans. And I kept looking for the section and the opportunity on the plan to talk to these patients about diet. I kept thinking, well, we're discharging a GERD patient, a gastroesophageal reflux disease patient, who was admitted 5 days ago, and we're letting him go now without any instruction on what to eat.
Right.
And I started asking questions in the hospital, and I didn't get the answers that I wanted. There's no room for this in the hospital setting. And so I thought, I've got to get to these people before they get to the hospital.
Yeah.
So it just so happened, it was right after 9/11. This was all during 2001.
Yeah.
When I was in school there, and on the cusp, right before 9/11, I was questioning my future. I was like, I don't know if I want to do this nursing thing. I want to care for people, but I've got to get my hands on some nutrition information. And there weren't a lot of nutrition programs at the time. I think there were very, very few. It was more of a public health. If you wanted to go into nutrition, you were going into public health or policy. Okay. So I started exploring, and then 9/11 hit, and I was like, I just want to go home to California. It's very scary to be here. And so I ran back to California, and I got a certified nutrition consultant a certification that I learned about from a friend who was studying nutrition. And it was extremely educational. We did remote testing. It was actually fully remote. And so I did this so I could start delving into nutrition, and I had to do CE courses for it. And I met a medical doctor at a seminar who approached me after the seminar, I guess she was gravitating towards some of the questions that I was asking the doctor who was presenting, and he was presenting on autoimmunity and how the gut is directly tied to autoimmunity.
Oh, yeah.
And this OBGYN endocrinology specialist medical doctor who was practicing at St. John's in Santa Monica approached me and she said, "Do you have a job right now? Are you working?" And I was like, "I don't even have a license as a dietitian. I have a certification." And she said, "Come work for me in my clinic. I really like your vibe," if you will.
Yeah.
Your attitude.
The vibe is right.
She was really informal, but she was spearheading the entire foundational wellness piece. She opened the very first wellness center. She and her husband paired up to open the very first wellness center in Santa Monica on 3rd Street Promenade, right by 3rd Street Promenade, that ever existed, where we had that one-stop shop for alternative. It was more alternative, an alternative to the allopathic model at the time, which was more progressive, right? You come in and you see the doctor, and then the doctor shuttles you to the nutritionist.
Yeah.
That's really rare. Yeah.
And then the nutritionist shuttles you to the yoga instructor, and the yoga instructor shuttles you to the
100%.
and then to the supplement store to buy your vitamins, and then to get your prescription, and you've got the whole circle. So we survived and thrived there for, I think, about 8 years before the divorce of the practitioners spiraled the split of the center. But from then on, I just went on to work with, tons of different patients, contracting with doctors around the Los Angeles area. I used to live in West LA. So my experience and my master's school of nutrition was working with these practitioners who had the medical background, but turned functional mind. And it was sort of, during the start of the anti-aging movement with Cenogenics, How to Age Well. The Mayo Clinic was involved in this, and not Lindora, what was it? There was another center that was, I'm blinking on it, that was up and coming at the time, that did a lot of herbal supplements, and it was popular at the time to do this anti-aging thing. So I had, since then partnered with medical doctors around the city and worked with most of their patients, anywhere from cancer patients to multiple sclerosis to pre-diabetic to full-blown diabetic to pre-pregnancy, perimenopause, to support the system as it was presenting with diet and lifestyle. And the impact continued, and it continues to blow my mind. The impact of making small changes with what you put in your body. And this is my true passion. It's so fun to see this and to work with people like this who can take control and really drive their health in a certain direction. And a lot of people don't know that they can do that. There's so yeah.
Is it fair to say you think food is medicine?
Oh my God, girl. I'd love to say that I came up with it, but absolutely. Even if you look at a lot of the actual medications we have these days, they're derived chemotherapies, or some of them are derived from algae. Right.
Yeah,
so,
for me, it could be, right? Like a lot of the herbs are kind of edible, you can eat, but I think it's a complementary, right? Depending on the situation. But overall, I think what you said kind of corroborate what we discussed in our first episode, right? The best doctor treat disease before it happens. And then after disease happen, if you do the right thing, you can prevent the disease from getting worse, or you may even reverse the course.
Well, we give up our power very quickly. We give up our power to pain, and we're a quick fix society. So even when we have a headache, we're reaching for the Advil before we sit down and take 5 breaths and maybe hydrate,
figure out
what the root cause.
Yeah,
we're not
exactly.
root cause detective. We just want to fix it.
And that's so dangerous, right? And that contributed significantly to the opioid epidemic in this country.
It's a lot of topics.
Yeah.
Very, very exciting, and I'm really impressed on the journey that you went through and get to where you are.
There's a lot
now.
in 20 years. I opened up a smoothie store where we vowed to not use any bananas in our smoothies. I worked at what used to be called a fat camp called Live in Fitness Enterprise Life in Marina Del Rey. I've had the opportunity to partner with so many organizations. It's been really, really fun. It's been really fun, and to watch the sort of that, like the bouncing ball of
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
It's, yes, nutrition works. No, it doesn't. Yes, it's like the science is just changing in my head.
Oh yeah, I mean during the right when I learned nutrition in medical school, like we were still following the pyramid, right?
yeah,
Like the
food
old
pyramid.
pyramid. So it's a lot of research, kind of changed our perspective on things. I want to go. I know we have a lot to talk about, but I want to go back to today's main topic, right?
Yeah.
How to become a smarter shopper when we go get the food to fill up our pantry.
Yeah.
So I think Jen has a plan to cover the main categories of food that we typically, a regular person typically eat.
Yeah, so one of my favorite personal sessions that I do is the grocery shopping tour, the grocery shopping session where we go to the patient's or the client's local store and we just take them through.
That is 100% progressive. I'm seeing a nutritionist and she's not going with me to the store.
We're going to the store. Yeah.
Dang, okay.
How many people, and I was the one going into the store with the magnifying glass of the 18 marinara sauces that
Look at the label.
find the healthiest one.
Yeah.
It takes 20 minutes. So, this is where the guidance will be today.
And there are so many hidden ingredients, right? We don't even know. Like a lot of them, I don't even know what that is. I have to Google.
Oh,
Google every time, right?
Right. A lot of people don't have time.
Yeah.
So wait, before we dive into the ingredients though, I just want to clarify for the audience, just kind of your Ning had mentioned earlier, you work, with quite a few clinicians. So how do you typically, get referred to these clinicians? Are you still working with the clinics? Kind of how does that work? And if somebody wanted to work with you, what would they do to,
So it's usually, I've gotten by, I don't have a big online presence. I don't love selling myself in the slightest.
You're not a grammar?
Not a grammar. I just got that. I was like, what is grammar?
Yeah, no.
My grammar is great. I'm not a grammar. I am, but I'm not. This is not. It's I think the value of what I do is through referrals. You have to experience it because I'm not the nutritionist that's going to hand out a manufactured, pre-manufactured plan. Everyone's needs are so unique. They're so unique. And the overwhelm is in when you Google something, what do I do for XYZ? You're going to get that, the protocol that's for the masses. You're not going to get the personal attention that I can give in a session. So it's usually by referral. They can go to my website, which has a horrible name right now. But you have to type in Healthy You. It's healthy, and then the Y is shared between the healthy and the U, but it's on the slide so people can copy it. healthyu.org/healthyu-com. Don't ask.
Okay.
You can put it in.
We'll put it there.
Yeah.
But
in our intro, you don't need to remember.
Through referrals, or if I've partnered with a doctor, they'll make the referral in the office, and then I call the patient and we schedule. Yeah.
Great.
But I work with all different types of people.
And across states, or are you
Yes, sorry, Rachel. Yes, I've worked with companies like Parsley Health where we do fully remote, fully all Zoom. So sometimes the phone, sometimes, it's a really intimate thing that we do. Some people don't even want to be face to face. They just want me to call them and talk them through whatever's going on. I've done loads of phone sessions, and it gives us the opportunity also to move. Because movement is important. So I'll just say, get up and walk while you're on the phone with me. Let's talk about your, what's going on and your shopping list for the week. And so, so through all different media.
Yeah,
we can work. Yeah.
She has a lot of great recipes too.
Your chicken
shall we dive into?
Let's dive deep.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of caveats here, by the way, if someone to be plugged in. I didn't put it all down. But
So we're going to cover all your kitchen staples.
All right.
Today.
So I can talk you guys through, just the bird's eye view. So we talked about what kitchen staples are most people scanning for and looking for. And this is going to be nuanced depending on the populations we work with and depending on budget, right? So I'm well aware that there are, this is a gradient. It's a spectrum. It was easiest to sort of tell how I do it and what I look for and what I do. So choosing proteins, and protein can mean different things for everybody. If you're an animal eater and you're choosing animal products, what you're selecting should be just the animal.
Yeah.
That easy. And so my biggest recommendation here is whether you go to Ralph's, Trader Joe's, Albertsons, wherever you are, you're going to be able to find just chicken breast or chicken thighs or chicken parts that are, in plastic, unfortunately, and wrapped up, but you can see and peer and see it's just chicken. This is the easiest thing to do. Just ground turkey, just ground beef. First and foremost, if you're prepping food, this is what you go for. This is not to say that certain convenience foods and prepackaged, pre-made things are not good. There are tons of great ones out there. So when it comes to animals, when you can see the animal, it's a go. Wild salmon, farm-raised salmon. Okay, there's a lot of debate over let's not go there yet. But if it's just a piece of salmon that you can see wrapped up, it's a go. Take it home, cook it, for your homemade meal. Now, and again, depending on your budget, if you can go organic, I'm big on organic. I figure of the things we can control, we are buffering and harboring so many toxins.
Oh yeah.
If we can have a little less toxic input by going organic, I'm all for it. I think placebo is in there as well. I feel cleaner when I eat organic, and so I encourage people to do the same. Yeah. So if you can do organic and go to places like Trader Joe's where organic does not cost an arm and a leg, right? Grass-fed, there's controversy over grass-fed as well, or Sprouts, right? Thrive Market is a great place. There are certain online places that offer a huge discount on these things, so I can give those resources as well at the end. Grass-fed to me is pretty important. We're eating animals, and we are what we eat.
Yeah.
And the animals are what they eat. And we know, the reasons why foie gras can be terrible for us and have a lot of good nutrition. There's no black and white here, I'm just going to say. Everything is, and it depends, right? But, something like foie gras is terrible for you because they stuff the animal to a point where the animal's stressed out, and the hormones that the animal then produces are...
Never heard this in my life. This is really helpful.
The same way, the argument with farm-raised fish and wild fish is wild fish is going to have a lot more muscle content because it has to swim against the tide, right? Farm-raised, they don't have to work. So do you want to eat a lot of muscle, or do you want to eat a lot of crap, right? So it's...
Oh, I'm here for the crap. No, I'm kidding.
Certain crap is worth it. Others, not so much.
I want purity.
Yeah. Well, and that's what this is all about. We are a mess. Nothing is pure anymore. Everything is laden.
Unfortunately,
Yeah. So, you want to go, if you're going to go with I love things like ready-made for people in a hurry. So if you're not getting the bare bones, if you're not going to cook the chicken breast, which I always say, if you are, choose one day of the week where you bulk prep. If you're a family that eats leftovers and you will reheat things, don't reheat rice. There's a big thing about reheating rice. We'll talk about this later. Okay. Yeah. Careful with reheating rice, apparently. But for proteins, if you bake 8 chicken breasts at the beginning of the week and you season each one differently, or even all the same, there are many ways in which you can use that throughout the week if you keep them in the fridge. So I always say bulk prep. If you're going to cook in one day, you might as well cook for 2 hours instead of 1 and cook triple the amount, quadruple the amount, right? Yeah. If you're not into the fresh prep, the pre-packed stuff is great. There are several brands here. True Story, Applegate Farms is a really popular one where they have things like ready-made chicken sausages, right? And the ingredients are clean. If it's a basil chicken sausage, it'll be organic chicken is the first ingredient. Basil, Parmesan cheese, sea salt, casing, Very simple, pre-cooked. So you just have to heat them up. You can eat them cold. A lot of great instant proteins. You do want to look for with those pre-packaged, like the sausages and the deli meats. The big issue is the nitrates, the preservative in there, right? Yeah. Oh, I thought we lost Rachel for a second.
No, you can keep going.
This is how tech I am. She's gone. She's back. So you do want to watch for nitrate-free. The Applegate brands, Blinsky's, a lot of these ones at the higher end stores are going to be nitrate-free. And so the beauty of shopping there for maybe $1 more per package is you don't even have to read the package.
And what harm does nitrate do to your body?
Well, it's controversial. And here's the thing. You're going to hear it so many times. It depends. In a perfectly healthy human system, and you're eating well outside of the nitrates, it's not going to do much. If you're having soda, if you're having cereal,
like
if you're having ice cream,
matters. If you eat that every day,
well, in the environment you put the nitrates in. In a healthier person, that person might feel the nitrates, but the nitrates aren't going to affect them like they would someone who's already compromised. So it really depends on the rest of what you're doing. It's not the worst thing you can do. And a lot of these things, again, the science continues to change, and there's confirmation bias. People who are researching the harm of nitrates really want to put it out there, and others who think it's not harmful can prove that, even celery powder is a good, good nitrate option. It's the same thing, right? It's a preservative.
I have a question, right? Like when you go buy chicken breast, there's some are organic and some are natural. Like is that, like
Okay,
the
don't
all
fall.
natural.
All right, this is my favorite thing. All natural. All natural couldn't be further from a healthy guide. All natural means nothing.
Oh, really?
It means there are some ingredients in there that were not synthesized, but it can be full of less than 2% of, right?
Yeah.
Several ingredients that are not natural at all. And what does natural mean? Does it really mean better for you?
Right, all natural chicken,
means
right?
it's an actual chicken, and it's not like
Rubber.
I mean, what would be a not all natural chicken?
Right.
Really, when you break it down now, pasture raised is different and free range, right? When you look up these definitions, you can claim free range on your pack of chicken if you allow your chickens that you're raising to leave the barn. So you leave it open so that they have the opportunity to leave with a 3-inch outdoor space. It just has to be
3 inch.
That is disgusting. I'm sorry.
And then they're free range. And why does it matter if they're not free range? Well, do you want to eat a chicken that's been running around a pasture, building muscle, not toppling over with giant breasts that they've been pumping with hormones, and eating worms and eating natural foods, or a chicken that's squashed up in a barn, never seen the light of day?
Yeah.
So free range does not mean it's
it
good
could.
either.
Now, here's how you decide if it means the better version of free range. This is just my opinion, but I think it works out well. When you buy from small companies, when you buy at farmers markets, when you buy...
That's what I do. I buy mine every Sunday at a farmer's market.
You can talk to the farmer. You can talk to the person who's raising the chickens. Not everybody has this luxury. If you're going to Costco, you can't do that. But usually, if a company bothers to put free range and pasture raised and organic on the label, the effort's there. Say, how do you know if it's really organic? Honestly, I can't bother myself with that. I can't go that far. You can call the company. I used to call companies, be like, are your buffalo really on the Great Range? Like, or are you in a small town in...
Are you home on the range? Where's your buffalo? Are they outside?
New York
Are they running? Are they talking to their friends?
But overall, in Costco you see cage-free eggs,
Right,
and then
cage-free eggs.
free-range eggs. The price is similar. So I usually
It's not
go
that big
with
a
the
difference.
free-range, but there's really not a big difference.
Yeah, again, I think with eggs, this is, again, it's controversial, and I think the jury's out. Are eggs raised in a different way different for you? Is it, all in all, the protein content, the choline content, it's all there. If you have a darker orange yolk, is there more astaxanthin in it? Maybe there's more antioxidant. It's really in the quality of the egg. Usually eggs that are not like Vital Farms, right? Raised on a small farm, fully organic, pasture raised. Usually those eggs are easier to crack. They're a little more fragile. They're not as dense in the outer coating of protein. So these nuances, do they really matter? I just love if you're having eggs.
The nutrition value are probably
The
similar.
nutrient value is similar. And again, you can go all the way with this. You can vow to never eat an egg that came from Ralph's.
But it's important to have the no antibiotics label on
apparently most animals, I think animals in the U.S. are not allowed to have antibiotics. I think that is, it's another misconception. It's another good labeling trick when you can put no antibiotics. It's like putting fat-free on a water bottle. Like water never can have fat anyway.
You better not be putting fat in my water.
Yeah, gluten-free on turkey. It's like, well, actually, some turkey can be cured with maltodextrin or some things that might have been contaminated. But it's, so I believe, and I can double check on this for you guys, antibiotic-free is not the biggest shouldn't be the biggest selling point.
Okay.
Yeah, I more so go with like free-range wild. Really, it's the grass-fed beef, I think, that gets me the most in the ways that the cows are treated. I'd rather eat a cow that was raised on chlorophyll and fiber than a cow that was raised on corn.
Corn, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And go ahead, Rachel.
Portion control. So we've also had questions about this before. So, some of our other guests have mentioned that, obviously trying to obtain a certain amount of grams of protein per day, right? You know, we've had recommended, you know, we've heard everything from, 100 grams up to 1 gram per pound, right? And so love to hear your thoughts on that. But more specifically, as it relates to these eggs, when I wake up, how many should I eat?
How many should you eat? Okay. Here's again, it depends. Rachel, I would never know how many you should eat because I don't know what you're doing the rest of the day, what your goals are. And the same thing with the protein targets, right? So this is the beauty of the intimate relationship with the nutrition coach and the person is getting to know you and your goals. For some, the big thing right now is 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight because the 0.8 to 1.8 kilogram prescription from the American Dietetics Association is to prevent protein malnutrition. It's the bare minimum that you should do. So a lot of us are under proteined, that I agree. And I think it's displacement. I think we're going for things like cereals and oatmeal and pastries in the morning without taking the opportunity to have protein. Even if we have a turkey sandwich at lunch, you eyeball that turkey sandwich, you see mostly bread. It's like a little line of turkey. So I think we're really imbalanced with protein. So I think to go from there to like 1 gram per pound of body weight because you heard it on it, but that's so aggressive and no one's going to reach that. I have clients who are like calling me, they're like, I'm killing myself. It's 11 p.m. and I'm downing a protein shake and a whole turkey because I need my protein and I want to throw up. I'm like, you're killing, dude. It depends. So, are you in the gym? What's your output like? Right?
I can tell you I am.
And so there's no prescription. I would say, ballpark. Everybody should know where they're starting from. I used to have all of my patients do a food log for 3 to 5 days before I would meet with them. I used to say, I wish I could live with you for 5 days before we meet. I want to see your tendencies. I want to see your patterns because I can't take you from 0 to 60. If I know that you're starting at 4, I'm going to inch you up to 7. I'm not going to go 4 to 99. So it really depends. If right now, Rachel, if you're having, let's say you're having 60 grams of protein a day, right? And you didn't know that. You're going along, you're eating a couple eggs in the morning, you're having your lunch, you're having your dinner, and you take note and you log in, it turns out to be 60 grams, and that's not fulfilling your goals, right?
Yeah.
You can step up from there slowly. And, again, the displacement thing is huge. So we don't take opportunities to have protein. And this is where I can really go off the rails. So bring me back. And it has a lot to do with my recommendations for breads, pastas, grains, and snack foods. To be very transparent, I grew up on these things. I grew up trading my chili cheese Fritos for Cool Ranch Doritos, at school. This was how I grew up on totally refined foods. I was eating Frosted Flakes in the morning, Pop-Tarts, all of the things. Love it. I can't stand that they exist and that they're still part of a child's typical day. Because again, it's not so much the danger of eating the foods, it's what they're not getting by filling their bodies with those things. So we have so many missed opportunities to get protein that we just swapped out a couple of our snacks, these things that we stock our pantries with that mean nothing in the way of nutrition. They're not meaningful to our bodies. If we just had something more meaningful at the time, like hard-boiled eggs, a couple slices of turkey, a scoop of tuna salad, a string cheese, it could be a convenient food.
So be intentional. Intentional. And then I have noticed quite some change with my diet because I'm Chinese, our main staple when I learned nutrition said this. I was told that 60% of your calories should come from starch, carbs. So that's what I was used to. But now because of all the discussion, so I'm more intentional. So I think I'm getting close to 100.
That's good, Nate.
You had to go through that learning process. And Rachel asked a question about portion control. If you have a meal that is dense in protein and fiber, you don't have a problem with portion control. Have you ever heard someone say I just binged on some asparagus last night while watching Netflix? I binged on broccoli. I went nuts on a flank steak or ground turkey. Sure, you can overdo anything, but the reason we overdo it in a meal is because we're not having whole, real foods that have whole, real nutrients. I'm sorry, but 60% grains I have gripe with grains. They play some role. I'm going to tiptoe around this one. But satiety-wise, they don't do much. They actually spike your insulin. And so one of my rules is, especially with kids, if you're going to give them grains, pasta, you have protein and fiber first. You have it first in your meal. You don't have to get rid of the carbs. But Rachel, if you're going to have a steak, asparagus, and a sweet potato, which is a beautiful carbohydrate, start with your steak. You don't have to finish the whole thing. A few bites of that, a few bites of asparagus, and then go for the carb after. Anchor down your insulin response. Yeah. So
I thought there was some other ways to get protein. Maybe it was the next slide that was talking about yogurt. Yogurt.
So let's make sure we're straight on. A lot of by the way, I just want to say with these packaged items, what you guys really have to watch out for is like beef jerky. Okay. If you go to pick out a beef jerky is so high in sugar. You go back, turn it over, read the ingredients. It'll say beef, sugar.
Exactly. Right, especially teriyaki or like, you know.
Your meat should be meat. It's not good. It shouldn't be in a bath of sugar. And there are many different terms for sugar. Coconut sugar, you know, there's honey, maple syrup. Okay, so just be careful with pre-packaged, pre-seasoned things are okay, as long as sugar doesn't take over, right?
What are the brands? What are the brands for the beef jerky you would get?
Archer brand is great. Archer actually has a brand called Zero, where they do make a mustard, like a honey mustard, a flavored one without it being high in sugar. Actually, zero sugar, honey mustard one, and a teriyaki one by Archer. And they're always on sale at Sprouts, Whole Foods. If you have Prime, they're $4.99 a bag on sale. So.
Okay, well, Nick and I just Googled how to get Archer beef jerky.
But do this, Rachel, do this. So when you look at Archer, the ones that I recommend, look at what the ingredients say, and then thereafter, whenever you find a beef jerky that looks good, make sure you know what to look for now.
Actually, there's a really good Chinese brand.
Help with
beef
this.
jerky, like it's
is it built
just
on?
the beef. No, I have to show you guys the package.
You have to share it.
You need the package.
Yeah,
I want to put it down.
I was addicted to it, but it does not have all those crazy stuff.
Oh, that's good.
So we can go to the next one too.
So I guess no added sugar or oils.
It's not
or minimal,
and just make sure, you know, if your beef jerky, like some chicken sausages per serving, which is one chicken sausage, can have 4 or 5 grams of sugar. That's not how I want to spend my sugar.
Right.
No, I put it back. It's got to be 1 or 2 maximum.
Yeah.
Beef jerky, you don't want to be eating sugar without knowing it. When you're intending to eat protein. Yeah. So that's the parameter there.
That's a good suggestion.
So we didn't go through, and I think you wanted to bring up the dairy controversy, but I will say, for some people, and I've worked with several people who have had Hashimoto's thyroiditis, autoimmune predisposition, autoimmune disorders, leaky gut, eczema, psoriasis, dermatitis, and they cut out dairy and they thrive for many, many reasons. I've had other clients who cut out dairy and nothing happens, and then they miss their dairy like crazy. I've had other people who had been avoiding dairy for their lives and not felt great and made some changes and brought dairy in and they feel great. So just to say, again, really specific and nuanced, whether dairy is going to hurt you or not, and what element of the dairy is it? Is it the lactose? Is it the whey? Are you whey intolerant? Are you right? Yeah. If we're just talking about, normal, sorry, shake that. If we're just talking about, the common practice of adding dairy, I would say what you want to look out for is a lot of people are going for these flavored yogurts. I think this is the biggest offender with dairy when it comes to the kids' Go-Gurts and the tubes and right? It's a sugar bomb. It is so easy to take some plain yogurt. Doesn't even have to be Greek, though. I'd love for it to be Greek because then you're really actually getting the protein from it. No sugar.
That's my favorite.
Right, but it's so easy to take a plain yogurt and add chopped strawberries where you get more fiber, more protein, whole foods and enzymes than doing the strawberry yogurt plate, right?
Right.
So the rule with yogurt is go with the Greek stuff or the European strain like Bulgarian yogurt. It's bitter. I actually use, instead of sour cream, I'll use yogurt on like taco salads because it sort of is that sour taste. You can sweeten it. You can we were talking about stevia earlier, like monk fruit or stevia, even a little local honey, like raw honey. But try to sweeten it with the fruit if you can.
Yeah, blueberry, strawberry.
A little goes a long way. You can even put a little dark chocolate in your yogurt. There's no rule against that just because it's a breakfast food, right? But yogurt is a really good supplemental for people who are trying to hit their protein targets because a very small amount's really dense.
Yeah.
Greek yogurt, yeah. There are some pre-flavored ones like the Too Good or the Oikos 000, what they sell at Costco. They're made with monk fruit. Monk fruit is a benign sweetener. And stevia it depends on the type of stevia you get and how your gut microbiome responds to stevia. But, in general, people should be okay with it.
How about blue agave? I mean,
The agave?
right? Agave.
Yeah. So people say, well, I use molasses or I use maple syrup or I use honey or agave. Isn't it so much better than sugar or coconut sugar? Gram for gram, calorie for calorie, it's exactly the same. There's no such thing as like a low glycemic sweetener. It's all going to hit you the same way unless there's fiber in it. Okay. So it's going to hit your body the same way. The difference is when you use a local honey versus a white sugar, you get a lot more antioxidants. You get a lot more nutrition. You might get some antihistamine relief with the honey. You just get more out of it. You might get some vitamins, right? So you're getting a little more with your sugar, but I don't care what it's sweetened with. I don't care if it's gummy bears or a banana. If it's 10 grams of sugar, it's 10 grams of sugar. So it's not going to make any
It's a pound for pound argument a little bit, right? With weightlifting.
matters in the end, but when you're really you're not reducing anything by going with blue agave.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I did on the dairy front was, I used to drink. I was one of the latte culprits. And so I stopped having, these lattes with all this extra sugar, and I switched to either skim milk or coconut milk if it's available, and then just a dash of honey. And I saw a significant difference instead of having these pump sugar. You're like, what are you doing? How much is that?
Yeah, and you can wean yourself off that. If you go in and you get 4 pumps, the next time you go in, ask for 3.5.
Yeah.
You don't have to cold turkey off of any of these things, but the difference is amazing, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of people do like these milk alternatives, I should mention. They're not as natural. A lot of them have stabilizers and gums, and there are very few brands that do like just a strained almond milk. It's like almonds and sea salt and nothing else. But the reason they're so great is because the unsweetened ones have a lot less sugar than milk. Milk has a lot of sugar in it. It's more sugar than protein. So when you're trying to reduce your overall sugar and you're not using dairy for any reason other than you're just used to it, it's good to go with the alternative, and you cut out 10 to 12 grams of sugar by doing that per serving.
Okay. Turkey bacon versus regular bacon. This is like a whole thing. And I'm like,
again, it totally depends,
oh, here we go.
It totally depends. If, turkey bacon is ultimately a little leaner most of the time. There's more fat on regular bacon. I think turkey bacon can be higher in sodium. So I think there are costs and benefits. All in all, if you're not eating more than 3 to 5 pieces, I don't think it really makes a difference. Go with the bacon that you enjoy. In fact, if you do look at a pack of bacon, and if it's nitrate free and uncured and all the targets, for 2 or 3 strips, it's not a lot of calories. It's very thin. So people
like 100 calories or 70 calories.
It's not a lot of fat. Even it's like a gram and a half of fat per strip for pork bacon versus turkey. I think it's the same.
Yeah.
So I don't know if you're saving much with turkey or just compromising. In my opinion, you're compromising taste. I love regular bacon.
Oh yeah, same.
I love this bacon.
So I guess because a lot of our audiences are listening to this, they don't get to see the slides. So
they don't get to see the slides.
Yeah. So
okay.
Can you talk a little bit about what to avoid?
Yeah. So with dairy, so we went to yogurts. Really, are the only dairy highlight that I gave. Cheeses, there's no rule with cheeses. I think that's per like your own flavor, taste, what you're using cheeses for. The thing to remember with cheese is a little bit goes a long way, right? Yeah. Some people don't like the anti-caking agents put in pre-shredded cheese, so it's better to get a block. If
you shred it yourself.
Shred it yourself, and you're gonna burn a little extra calories shredding. Like get them. It's not that readily available. You can't just like go like this out of the bag. I mean, you could just take but anyway, cheeses. Make sure the ingredient is just freaking cheese, right? It doesn't have to, or milk. It doesn't have to be anything else. But with a lot of these, don't be fooled by some of these yogurts that will say sugar-free. You do want to make sure it doesn't have aspartame or sucralose. Again, the answer is it depends. Will it affect me? Will it not? There are some people who get an aspartame headache the minute they have a sip of Diet Coke. Sometimes and some people who, my mom has lived on Diet Coke since I met her out of the womb, and she's the healthiest person alive. So it's inexplicable. I don't know. There aren't that many great studies on the fake sweeteners. However, I will say behaviorally, what they can do in some people, when you think you're using a fake sweetener like a Diet Coke or an aspartame sweetened yogurt to quell a craving for sweetness, sometimes it can perpetuate the craving. It can make you crave more because insulin responds to sweet taste, not just the presence of sugar. So sometimes you're really throwing yourself off the cliff by saying, I'm going to skip 2 bites of dessert. Instead, I'm going to have a latte and put a bunch of pink packets in it. You may find yourself craving more after that, right?
Right.
Yeah. So that's the recommendation on the rest of the dairy, is to not go with anything that is sweetened. Low fat milk versus high fat milk versus or whole fat milk. That again, I like to do a trade with dairy. The only reason I go for non-fat Greek yogurt in the morning is because I feel like saturated fat is easy to come by. If you're having meats, any sort of meats, animals, if you're an animal eater, butter, you're going to get enough saturated fat. But I like to use my yogurt as an opportunity to put polyunsaturated fats and monounsaturated fats in it. And I don't want to have too much fat in the morning. So I'll do a non-fat Greek yogurt and instead have my fat sources come from cashews, hemp seeds, chia seeds to get a different profile of fats, right?
Yeah.
I'll save it for later. So that's my only recommendation with the amount of fat that goes in it.
Beautiful.
I know what to avoid.
The sucralose and the aspartame.
Yeah.
Yeah, additives. You can do a compare and contrast with Greek yogurts or regular yogurts. Some you will find are very simple. They have milk, they have rennet, I don't know exactly how to make yogurt, but whatever it takes to make the yogurt. And then others you'll see emulsifiers, guar gum, xanthan gum. Those are usually the really jiggly, almost like jello, like you can see it, yogurts, right? Coconut yogurt, almond milk yogurt has a lot of those stabilizers and emulsifiers in it. The verdict's out on these things as well. Emulsifiers can cause leaky gut. They can damage the gut. But again, the dose makes the poison. If you're not eating that much of it, and there's no alternative, some emulsifiers are okay. But emulsifiers can be in everything you're eating if you don't look, right? So if you're going to get a yogurt that has some emulsifiers, you want to make sure your salad dressing doesn't. So those are the two avoids, and the flavored things like we started off with. You want to avoid the flavored.
Right.
Flavor it yourself. Yeah.
I do want to recommend another brand, Fayet.
Yeah, Fayet is great. It's
yogurt.
actually.
Yeah.
Fayet is pretty good, plain. I haven't been able to find organic Fayet, and again, I'm just an organic it just makes me feel better, but who knows? Simple Truth. You're going to see Simple Truth show up. Simple Truth is usually pretty good. Like it's the house brand for like Ralph's, used to be for Safeway.
Yeah.
So these things can be really helpful for budget control to get more natural ingredients through the Simple Truth yogurt. Yeah.
Yeah, great.
Nice.
Thank you so much.